Said they were gonna. No.
Excellent. Okay.
Plug it
Okay, good morning, everyone. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
See you back from the summer.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you, Sarah? How are
Good
you?
morning, everybody. How you doing?
We're good. How are you?
Thank you for accepting me virtually. I'm well.
Let's see, I'm secretary, do we have a quorum?
I don't know yet.
Well,
3, 4, 5, yes.
you're first.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Great.
Okay, we're gonna go a little out of order today because Ed has his responsibilities in the kitchen, and but he wants to speak with us. And so, this is Ed Mulvey, longtime member of our board, very valuable member of Council of Elders for a long, long time. He concentrates some of his efforts on Monday mornings here at the center, but he has something he'd like to say. Ed, thank you for coming.
Well, it's just a history, but it's been a long time since I've been here. Special Road Services, like every other agency or whatever, has had COVID-related issues. So their boards we didn't meet for maybe 15 months, then we met twice and didn't meet for 9 months, and then we meet once. So it's been a long time. And I have greetings from Sandra Lindsay, who's the head of Social Road Services. Since we had our first, in the past year, they moved again from the site, which was next to their academies, football fields and softball fields and everything, to another site in Braintree on Route 37. You have to go there, it's 350, Route 37. Either can come in from the beginning of Social Services or go to Braintree Five Corners, take a right, and it's just 200 yards down the road. So it's all on one floor, plenty of space. Right now there's open offices, but that's the way it was before. And they soon filled that unit up. So they're very happy with what they're doing, and they've done a lot of work, costs a lot of money because they took all their paper files and had the microfilm or fiche, whatever they do with it. And that's expensive, but it's done, they moved in, and they're all set. I have the financials for the 3 months, April, May, and June. June's financials, which is the end of our year, was a revenue of, and this is unaudited, $35,553,000. And the expenses were $34,030,000. And so they had a profit of $1,522,450. Some of that profit was grants from the state of Massachusetts to cover COVID-related issues and the federal government on their sending stuff to Social Road Services and the rest of the ASAPs in the state. So it probably would come out to be a couple of hundred or maybe $300,000, which is good. The following is a caseload, what they're handling now, and in June of 2029, the EOEA section of it, there were 1,473 cases. And that was less than the year before. And in SCOL, which is Senior Care Options, which is private insurance for the elderly, there was 4,525. And that was an increase. So that takes care of financials. If you have any questions, please ask them.
Where does the revenue come from? Ed?
Pardon?
Where does the revenue come from?
Well, state and federal money, first of all. Federal, state reimbursement was 17 million and federal was 13. They do make a profit on the SCO, which is private insurance. They get a slight commission. So that's it. But before they had the private insurance, the state would grant so much money to South Shore Elder Services. We'll say it was $2 million. Now, this is back in 2005, we'll say. And if they had more cases come in than the 2 million, they'd have to go to the state and ask for some money. And if the state didn't have it at the time, we just couldn't take another person onto the rolls. They just have to wait for services, which isn't the right way to do it. But it was a big changeover because people would rather stay in their own house than go to a nursing home.
That's what it was for? Instead of insurance, it was taken to a nursing home?
They can stay.
I guess I'm interested in the private insurance that's offered to elders and what that's all about.
Well, it covers, it's really 5 different companies.
But the qualifications for that,
Okay.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. You should probably know more technicalities.
A SCO is a Medicare Mass Health. If you have both those things, you can choose to do that instead of it's like it's kind of like an HMO for Medicare Mass Health members.
Do we use any of that?
Some Cohasset residents do.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
No.
it's a fabulous program because they give you little extras instead of having your Medicare and your Mass Health. They just kind of put it under one umbrella and give extra benefits to it. Wonderful.
Do you want me to speak to this a little bit, if you'd
Yeah.
like?
Sure.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Sarah.
I work for a senior care options program through Tufts Health Plan as a nurse practitioner. And you're right, 100% as usual, that it's a Mass Health Medicaid combined with Medicare program. So if people are dual eligible, which is 300% of the poverty limit or less, they're eligible for this program, which is partially funded by the insurance company in partnership with Mass Health, right? And so the insurance company hires South Shore Elder to administer certain services. And there's a wide array of services available to these elders who fall within 300% of the poverty limit. Is that right? Did I get the number right? And so in Cohasset, we have a few, not a ton. And because the house counts towards that. What was I going to say? I think that's about it. Does that answer your question about this, where this money comes from? We work really closely with South Shore Elders, and there are 5 insurance companies, as you mentioned, that administer this program. Tufts Health Plan being, I think, the largest right now.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Thank you.
So mostly my patients are predominantly South Shore Elder Services, Quincy Housing, you know, the large buildings, Weymouth Housing, Braintree Housing, all the way down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I participated in the Title B and 3 B and D grant request this spring. That entails grants under federal law Title B and D. And there were 20-something grants for 117,000 given for Title D and 24,592 for Title B. This is what anybody can do, and like normal visiting nurses, they can apply for a grant or to carry on some kind of services, nursing services. And they will give them the money, but it would have to be specifically just for whatever they asked the grant for. So it was a lot more money, but they didn't do this last year. So usually it was probably $70,000. And so once you get divided, and you have to give 40,000 to 45,000, a certain percentage of it for legal services for the elderly in the state of Massachusetts. All goes into a big fund. And other than that, everybody understand what I'm trying to say? Okay, good. My bookkeeper is in the Situate semi-monthly booklet, to be the same thing as a Vista. Last page is the lunches to be served for September and October. They have a chef, and what they, he donates his time for the food preparation. He doesn't necessarily cook it. But the menu items or something. Now, I'm not saying that Cohasset should do this, but chicken marsala linguine with roasted zucchini, beef stew, fresh buttermilk biscuits, shrimp scampi, buttered asparagus, oven fried chicken with gravy, mashed carrot, potatoes and carrots. So it's a little bit different than what they get for the lunches here. They have a waiting list. So you have to make a reservation, and a lot of people make the reservations by the week. And they collect only when you get there. So if you made your reservation for Tuesday and you didn't call up, you just didn't show up, they're out for that amount of food because they can't. So now I think what they're gonna do is make them pay by the week. So if you go in there, it's only open 4 days a week. On Friday, they serve sandwiches or salad. Sometimes vegetables, fruit salad. So they begin to find it's a pinch on the profit end of it, making ends. So other than that, it was a enjoyable study that I went through, and that's for you.
Why, thank you, sir.
It's got my financials.
Okay, terrific, thank you.
So,
Thank you, and we haven't heard from South Shore Services in a long time, because none of us have been active, so
Well,
hopefully we'll get back to it.
I used to come because I'd be on the board.
Yeah,
And then I got off the board, and I came a couple times, but we'll just say the leader didn't much care for me. So they'd have the meeting, and I'd sit here and I'd say, well, I'd like to speak. So time's up, gotta go. So,
well, I can assure you we won't do that.
well, thank you. And I won't bother you every month, but
Oh, no.
every 2 or 3
No, I think
months, I would.
it's nice.
Do we screen people for this
Yeah.
ability? I mean, you say there's some Cohasset residents that participate. Do they go through you?
A shine worker, so if they
Okay.
have interest in changing their insurance or knowing what they have options for, usually it's the shine worker who discusses all their options and then they decide to do it.
Should we put that in the Vista? Some detail around that?
Well,
I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
well,
wondering.
because you're not on Mass Health, I assume. So it's typically, if you're on Mass Health, then it would be brought to your attention.
Oh, I
This
see,
is an
okay.
option for you.
All right.
Because we don't wanna make it to the masses of people who it's not, because then we'd get everybody saying, oh, this is really
Yeah.
nice, yeah, let me jump on board. Well, you have to be below a certain income line, so.
You're welcome to stay and join us, but I know you have.
I have to get back.
Better things to do. Back to the kitchen.
Coffee to make.
Let's get
Yes.
coffee to make.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. I have a friend who goes to the lunch in Situate 4 days a week.
Really?
Yeah, and she says she's
4
gonna
days.
take me.
Yeah.
It's only open 4 days.
Yeah.
But just
But
gotta
she
see what
goes
she can
4
get me in. Well, you gotta look at the menu
Well, it's
too.
$5 a
Oh,
whack
look at the
over
menu.
there.
I know it is. but-
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Sounds
How
like
much
a
a
good
what?
menu.
How much?
$5, yeah, $5 as opposed
Not
to
bad.
4.
Oh,
Um,
What,
The other thing is that people, now, as he said, people don't show up, and they've signed
Yeah,
up,
that's
so
wrong.
they have people who just go and walk in and hope they'll get in. That's what he's talking about, the wait list.
So
People just show up
Yeah.
and they say, okay, we have room for
Any
4,
room
the first
today?
4 people get in and then, otherwise you gotta go home and make your lunch. It's amazing. Apparently it's the chef, but I
I
was
was gonna
amazed to
say-
hear him say that he does it for nothing.
Yeah, it was also interesting, huh?
He doesn't do it for nothing. They-
I was gonna say, they must pay
I
him.
know, I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
And I was a little confused because he was sort of saying that the chef comes up with the menus, but he
Someone
doesn't
else
necessarily do the cooking. Is that how I understood that?
Yeah.
I understood it that he came up with the menu and he did the cooking.
Yeah,
I think he does
I
too.
heard it the
Said he
same way you
doesn't
did.
necessarily.
I did too,
Yeah,
but I
that's
think he
right.
must
Yeah.
pay.
He preps it.
Yeah, because Ed said he doesn't necessarily cook. Yeah, I knew that.
yeah.
Well, the bocce team, we played down in Situate a few weeks ago. What a gorgeous place that is, by
Yeah,
the
it's
way.
beautiful.
Everybody's been there.
Mhm.
And they gave us a grand tour and they were very friendly and invited us and told us it was 2 days. If you want to eat, you have to register at least 2 days in advance.
Mm.
But once I went through the place and saw the weight room and the pool table,
Yeah.
I'm going to be
So-
down
Sign
there
me up.
again.
So-
That's interesting.
Take it, foosball, dartboards. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing
Oh, wow.
down there.
Town of Falmouth does a similar
Yep.
menu as I've sent to Nancy. It's amazing what they
Yeah.
offer every day. I am not aware of any backlog reservation system at all. People just walk in.
They do, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Falmouth is new. They've revamped
It's a beautiful-
100% from
yeah, it's a
where they
beautiful
were
facility.
before. Yeah, they've done a good job.
Okay, now I think we have to get back on our regular schedule. We'll accept the minutes from the last time. Does anybody have any objections?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Now the treasurer's report.
All right.
Elaine, thank you.
Okay, I have updated, this should go in the, along with the minutes.
Should go in the.
I had a transposition error on the one that went out Thursday night, so there is just some small adjustments. You'll note there's a variance on the report, same, because of the accountant, I think she just came on board, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, who is also from the town of Falmouth, and I have heard wonderful things about this person coming on board. But with that delay, I suspect that's what's causing the delay in the release of the final June 30th.
Yes, I imagine. I think that's probably what she's working on because when before Don left, he had so many other things
Sure.
to do.
So is he gone totally now?
He's now gone totally.
Yeah, well, I look forward to working with her. But so there are no carryover balances. We'll monitor that, make sure that they come through as we've expected them. I don't have the final June 2022 numbers yet. I am expecting that some of that, I think it was $19,000 profit, leftover, used appropriation, will be taken down because we are expecting an accrual adjustment for payroll. Some of the July paid payroll, it was incurred during June. So we have to reclass some of that out, and she does that. The department does that. And that is playing into the fact that our 2 months expenses of $70,226 looks high. It's because it has that extra payroll in it, as well as the way they're accounting for some of the encumbrances. We have our newsletter and our copier lease payments all accrued at the beginning of the year. So we've got almost $8,000 of expenses in that $70,000, which represent encumbrances, the majority of which is for the newsletter. And then they just draw that encumbrance down. So that's why that number is high. In grants, formula ARPA, no receipts. The expenses relate to formula for payroll and for miscellaneous expenses. Our ending grant balances, fund balance is $10,850. $59 of which $6,400 is the formula grant and $4,452 is the ARPA grant. Revolving fund, we have the expenses consistent with last year. They're running a higher than our revenues. It's $698 loss for the 2-month period. The balance is $15,439 in the fund. Gift accounts, those expenses of $4,141 represent primarily social worker, as well as some expenses that I think we'll be getting into. Unrestricted, the total balance is $59,221 on the gift account, of which $34,688 is unrestricted. And we have an additional line item this year representing the van replacement that came through the last column, which is set up for $66,000, which represents the May vote to replace van number 2. So, okay, they call it 2 in the report for some reason. So van number 4, right, exactly.
So they put the $60,000 on our,
They did,
really? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's no reason to go to fall town meeting and make them take the restriction off of it then, if they've already put it into our account.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
It's in there. So,
Paul,
It's a good thing.
As time goes on, are we gonna need more?
Well,
The longer
so,
we wait?
yeah, so the grant's in for the van, and hopefully we get the grant. And it was, I think the van was like 80,000, wasn't it? Somewhere around there, Nancy?
Yes.
Yeah, so if we don't get the grant, then we had a commitment from the town that they would find the additional funds needed to get the van. So they've already allocated
66.
66, right? But they have a restriction that it was only based on us getting a grant. So if we don't get the grant, then they have to remove the restriction and then find another, 20,000 or so for us to get a van.
Mhm.
And that would be in the spring town meeting of 2023.
For additional.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah, we won't know about the grant until end of November, beginning of December. So let's say by January 1st, we found out we did or didn't qualify for a van. We didn't qualify, then we have to get it on the warrant, get an article on the warrant to fund the van in May.
So that's, any questions, comments, additional?
Thank
I
you.
I have a question about, have you, Nancy, heard from the state yet on the
Formula.
formula grant, if they're lowering the price, raising the price based on any 2020 census or anything?
Level funding is what I heard. So then it's still $12 an elder. I believe it's still based on 2020. And next year, they're
2010. So it's still based on 2010, you're saying?
correct.
Okay.
Yes. I'll have to, I have to get back to you on that and exactly what that was based on, because now that it's the 2020, there was something, they gave it to us and it's like for 10 years, the same
Right.
amount, and next year it will be reflected. If they gave us too little or too much, it's gonna be reflected. It's gonna be on the I believe it's the 2020 census.
Correct.
And if it wasn't the federal government census, it's more like the Massachusetts demographic census of 2020. And if there's any difference in the 2020 census and the one that they're working off of, then they would not give us, they wouldn't take anything away from us, but they would just, we'd live with it until the next year and then they would adjust it.
That's interesting, yeah, because I know we get certain dollar amount per senior based on the 2010 census. So when the 2020 census came out, we assume we have more seniors, therefore we would get more money, but they would probably just lower the amount per senior.
That's what we assumed, but they did, yeah, I have to check back because this was now about a month and a half ago, because it was based on a different demographic for Massachusetts, like the BU demographic, and they said if it's any different from what we're received from the 2020 official US Census, then it would be adjusted next year, not this year. So,
Okay.
but definitely was still $12 an elder. They're not going to drop that. So I think we're going to get more because obviously our elders are going to have increased.
Right, okay.
I'll send you the information that I got though, so that you can understand it better than the way I'm explaining it.
Yeah, well, they don't want to give you more money than you already have, so they either redo the formula on you or come up with another way to calculate it. So either way, we're probably still gonna get the,
The same.
Decide to base it on the report, it shows the lowest number.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Nancy.
We know the game.
Okay, let's have the director's report.
Oh, and we need to
Wait,
close
we
the
gotta-
treasurer's
we have
report.
to-
Oh, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. No, I had said I'm complete, but we didn't vote to accept the report.
So moved. Seconded.
All in
All
favor?
right.
All right.
There you go. You pass it down. One more. We have enough.
We got it.
Thank you.
I do have another one. I think.
Oh, here.
We got it.
Hey, we have it.
All right, so I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention, we do have that new driver. I believe, last time we talked, we were looking for a driver. Jackie is new to us. She's working out beautifully. She had some experience using the lift. So she came right on and was able to do it. So she's really our head driver now. She'll be responsible for making sure there's gas, checking, inspection stickers, that kind of thing. So I think she's going to work out great. Everybody seems to love her. We certainly enjoy having her around when she comes in to say hi to us. So I think it was a good move having Jackie as part of the team. The social worker, we are still in need of. We have not been able to find someone who's working 15 hours a week for us. So keep your feelers out, and everybody and anybody, if you talk to anyone.
How are you advertising for that?
We are advertising on the town website, obviously. I believe it's, HR is working on it, but I think it's Indeed, they have it. I did also reach out to the social work schools and ask them to post it. Which was BU, Bridgewater, and Simmons College, I believe, are the three that I reached out to. So, and also we put it on the Massachusetts Council on Aging website as well. So we're doing our best. I think I'll put it back on our maybe 143 again. I think we really need a local person. So we'll maybe get it up on Facebook and see if somebody can network.
Is it worth contacting Situate or Hingham to see if there's a way we can use their resources?
Yeah, that's something I'm thinking about and how we'll do it. It's just a little bit harder because they have town social workers who are not,
Oh,
who
okay.
handle the whole demographic of the whole town, not just for their senior center. So I don't think, maybe as a referral, well, and Stephanie is still available to do that as our referral. She's still working on some of the difficult cases, more challenging cases. Until we find a social worker. She'll always be available to us as a resource, but right now, as soon as we find somebody, she's really gonna be stepping back, but she'll always be a resource because she'll be in the town.
Good.
Okay, the other thing, and we're gonna grab Nettie up here shortly, but the age-friendly action plan, hopefully everybody got that and was able to review it over the weekend, and we'll get your comments on that. The other thing I wanted to mention is the ARPA grant. Have they changed it? It's now a reimbursable grant. So it is not something that they just send us money, which seemed very odd when they first brought that up
Sure did.
last fall. Now it's we spend the money and I send in the information and then they send us a check for what we've spent it on. So We did just get a check, I believe it was for $367, because that's how much we had, from the initial payments they made us, and everything we've spent, we were owed 367. You should see that, Elaine, in the next.
Yeah. But we had
report.
received more money than we had spent as of June 30th.
Right.
So what's going to happen to that? Is this just on a go forward, or do we have to pay them back then?
No, we just have to spend the money. And so
Okay.
we're not going to get any more money until we spend more than they've given us.
Got it.
Then they'll start reimbursing us for what we've spent.
Okay, great.
And thank you to the friends. If you've noticed the beautiful new benches we have in the hallway, they look great. And the friends knew that the other ones were a little bit sorely lacking and looking like anybody wanted to sit there. So they look great. Thank you. I also wanted to mention, if you could talk it up, maybe you guys could come. Henry Quinlan, he was a speaker before. He talked about the Ukraine-Russian war, and he was people loved him. But we do need to have, this is now on Wednesday, and the more people we can get, the better. We don't have, everybody who left said it was terrific. They wanted him back. We have him back, and we don't have as many people now. So we just need to get that word out.
What time is that?
I believe it's 1 o'clock. It's right after lunch. Honoring Choices, we're going to have somebody come in from the Honoring Choices Massachusetts chapter and talk about healthcare proxies, so everybody understands what exactly that is, a healthcare proxy, the personal directives, anything like that, and she'll have the paperwork so that you can actually ask her questions, fill out the form. These are the things that don't need to be notarized, but they do need somebody else to witness it, so. And last but not least, we did have 359 unique individuals come through Wilcox Commons doors last month. Well, this is in, I did August for this September report, and 46 individual riders for a total of 215 rides. So,
How much on the electric?
I didn't separate it by electric, but electric is mostly medical or all medical, so I'll do that next time. I'll make sure.
But that falls
separate.
into the
It-
46?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right.
So can I just ask a quick question about the van?
Yes.
Have you seen an increase in need or ask for rides?
It's funny. Sometimes I'm hoping now that at the summer, we'll get back. More and more people are asking more to go out, maybe to do shopping and stuff. But right now it's been steady, about the same amount of people. A few more than we've had, but not like an amazing new amount. But we have had an increase over the past few months, especially since the pandemic ended and people are getting out.
Okay.
Do we need, Paul, in relation to the future on the van, do we need to qualify how many people that we carry that need the van, would need the wheelchair van?
No, there's no pre-qualification for it at all.
I mean, as far as going to the town, on the warrant, if we need to do that, is there a way to establish some sort of need?
So that was already done, and that's done through capital budget. So what we do is we present, every year to capital budget, the statistics on, what we're doing for services and transportation, and explain to them the need for the van based on the fact that the old one is not worthy of carrying people anymore. So we've gone through all of that and done the assessment on it in great detail. So it would just be a matter of putting it on the warrant at this point. We would have to go in front of capital budget again, though, probably in February. If the grant doesn't come through. And even if the grant comes through, we would have to go in front of capital budget anyway, because the grant, if it's $80,000, the town only has to come up with 20% of it. So then funds get allocated back to the town for the balance of the 66 that they allocated for the van. So we still have to go in front of capital budget to go through whatever process they want us to go through, whether or not we get the grant. So
Well, should we be tracking that information so we have some leg to stand on?
We do, yeah, we've got PowerPoints, Nancy put
Okay.
together, yep, a lot of stuff. We sent them, detailed layouts of different vans, how many people we transport, all that type of stuff.
Okay,
Did
good.
that for
In
capital.
fact, since we're talking about this, what's gonna be coming up, I think, in October. And I haven't heard back from anyone yet, because it's just shortly after Labor Day here, but, the town said they were gonna keep all the, electric, vehicles. At first, they wanted us to make a case to keep the electric vehicle. But then after I met with the town manager, and I think it was Michelle Leary, they said, no, we're gonna keep all of them, the one the school has, the one with the town hall, the one that we use, and the two I think that the school uses. So their plan was to, keep the electric vehicles, and, we would keep using the one that we have. We may have to go in front of, capital budget, at some point with them, but, they're her department, I believe, is the one that's making the case to keep the vans. So they would come out of the budget for the town manager's budget, I think. It wouldn't come out of ours, I don't believe, but we haven't gotten to that point yet where we determine whose budget it comes out of.
Thank you. Anything else regarding the transportation?
No,
Okay.
and I just, that was just Nettie, she's coming in now, so she can talk.
Oh, Eddie?
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi. Hi. Good, Nancy. I think big success. I didn't kick you out.
Yeah, no, you didn't, so that's good. I'm in person, so that would be her.
Good. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you.
Great to see you,
Good to see
Nettie.
you.
Okay, so coming in to just give hopefully what is the final update on our age-friendly Cohasset plan. As you know, we've been working on this, and Nancy and I think were somewhat swift in that on the side, we became, I'll say, fine associates with the AARP leader in Boston. His name is Antron. And so we already had him look at our rough copy. We've also reviewed it by the, I don't know his official title, the publications manager for Cohasset. What's his name, Nancy?
Dustin Schreier.
Yes. And we had I'll say grammar specialist at the library look at it as well. So,
We covered all the bases.
so I think before we do our official submission to AARP, we've already ironed out any kinks. So now we have presented it to hopefully what is our most scrutinizing set of critics, all of you. Has anyone had chance to look at it? As you may review, or recall rather, the age-friendly Cohasset goes right in line with the Cohasset master plan. You probably are like, oh yeah, I remember her saying that. So they have been bridged together and the document is in front of you.
Great. You did a really good job.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
fantastic.
Really good job.
excellent.
And Nancy and I back and forth. I also have a friend, this is just funny. She is an editor for the CIA.
Oh.
And we had her proof it as well. So,
Just in case.
Yeah.
really, I think maybe some days we should proof the CIA stuff, but in this case, she took a look at it for us. So anyhow, any thoughts, comments? Our next step is to present it to Chris and the board of select people and get their final blessing before we officially submit it to AARP.
Nettie, I've got a question on page 2. At the bottom, there's a mention here, 22% of the population is over age 60. In the past, I thought that number was 27%.
You know what? Funny you should ask that. I believe it was. And when Nancy submitted it to someone at town hall, they corrected that number for us based on the latest census, I believe. But we will double check that. That's easy for us to double check and we will.
Okay.
Thank you. and those are the like fine detail eyes that we need. Not to mention, I mean, anything at all. I just hope when we submit it as a group to AARP, it looks good. We don't have any typos, et cetera. Some other communities, Nancy and I have looked at what other people have submitted nationwide. Some other plans do not look as nice as ours. I'll put it that way. And then there are a few that you can tell are done, bigger cities that use professional marketing and consultation firms, et cetera. So I think ours I would give it, compared to the masses, A-. What do you think, Nancy?
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
we are not the
There's something
little
about
town that spends
self-grading, though.
$50,000.
I just had one comment, and I don't belong to the golf club.
Yeah.
But I think this, you say we have a golf course.
Yeah.
We don't have a golf course.
No.
We have a golf club,
Yeah,
private golf club.
excellent. That's a great point, and we will make that change. Thank you.
Yeah. And you don't mention the Arts Center. I think the Arts Center is a big draw to this town.
Absolutely. That was, oh my God, I'm so glad you guys noticed that. That was sheer oversight. We will add that in. Oh my God, that is huge.
Yeah.
Anything else at a glance as we're looking? I have to say, I mean, although it doesn't have my personal name on it, I am very proud of the plan and very proud to submit it to the state of Massachusetts and have it listed on their on AARP's national website as well.
It's great.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, excellent job.
So Nancy and I did not discuss this, but Nancy, can we not make any steps forward maybe till the end of this week so everybody could take a second look at it with the opportunity to email you any suggestions, comments before we take the next step forward?
Sure, absolutely. Take a look at it. We just want to get it in front of the select board. That's really important
Right.
to us, so we can't take up too much time, but we do need to get Chris to approve it, put it before the select board. And also, if anybody is very well written, they could write, we need to have a letter as well. And that has to come from either town manager or the select board, also being a piece of this, saying that they support it, they're behind it. So who writes that, I don't know. If somebody wants to take a,
You want a selectman to do it? I can contact someone.
and have somebody
Maybe the
do that, yeah,
communications
we need to
person.
talk about.
Yeah, the
who's
communications
going to do
guy.
that.
Jason, is that his name? No,
Communication guy.
Justin. Or that was what Nettie and I had talked about, we don't have anybody else to write it, maybe ask Justin to do it and have them just sign off on it. That's something we need to decide, because we do need somebody from the, the select board to sign something that we're going to add to this, to say that this is all part of the community, we're all behind this is a big, we're proud of this and that kind of thing.
Once this is complete, I think we should make sure it falls into our website when we finally get
Oh,
that.
absolutely, we'll put it on the website.
That's great.
It really is. And I was thinking of the goals that we establish, and when CEA is mentioned in each of these, we should have another document that kind of documents how we are achieving that goal. What are we doing? Who are the people that signed up to develop the walking trails? I never knew we had walking trails around the Wilcott. So things like that, maybe this should be an ongoing sign up. I don't know. I just throw it out.
That would be something we can certainly talk about and going forward, have like long range planning.
Exactly, right. How we're going to do it.
Yeah, and with AARP, that is something that when we don't reach out to them for assistance, they reach out to us for a follow-up. And of course, they want age-friendly to be an ongoing, continuing plan. So, which they hope that we would rewrite the plan every 3 to 5 years. Which now, once we have the backbone, which we do, doing a solid update every 3 to 5 years should be much easier.
Oh, yeah.
But like I said, I am very proud of it. I know Nancy is too. I think it looks very professional I think it looks beyond my and Nancy's capabilities. I'm not sure how we got it this far,
Two
but
heads are better than one. We put
there you
ourselves
go.
together.
There you go.
I was wondering how you did it,
Yeah.
if you did hire someone outside,
Oh,
but
really?
No.
that's what you
No,
guys
no.
did, yeah.
Consultants.
Yeah, great.
Yes.
Very nice.
It's a lot of work. We reach out to, you know, a lot of town departments to try to
Sure.
get, you know, obviously to get their, okay, that we're writing their name in, so, and their support. So it was great. It worked out really good because everybody does seem very supportive in the town.
And I love the pictures.
Yeah.
Especially Dan and Jim,
Yeah.
our chefs.
yeah. And even that, if you have any pictures, we'll take them all the time for anything. So, good. Anything else right now?
So I guess what the follow-up is, if you guys can get anything that you want added or updated or edited back to me before next Monday, that would be great. And then we'll go ahead, move it on to Chris, reach out to Justin. And then once Justin, if Justin will write something, then I'd ask you, Tana, to maybe reach out to one of the select board.
I'll certainly do that.
Select,
And whenever we're scheduled, I'd like to go.
yeah,
Just-
great, that would be
I
absolutely
think a
wonderful.
lot of us should go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be important.
Once
Yeah.
it gets scheduled.
think so
Would
too.
show
Great
us
idea.
support.
Yeah.
And then next month, we will have Nettie come back and she'll report on the national accreditation that we're still working on. So, getting closer and closer.
Yeah, we will call that the beast.
Yeah, we kind of enjoyed this compared to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then I will check on the percentage number. We will delete golf course and add golf club, and we will certainly add the art center. That is huge. So thank you. In the meantime, again, Nancy and I, if you have anything else at all, please let us know by first thing Monday morning.
Says yacht club. I don't know. I mean, it says it doesn't name it. It says we have a
Yacht club.
Yeah.
club. What if it says we have a sailing club?
Maybe we should go to
Oh, yeah, sailing club.
No, I think
We
it's
have community-sponsored sailing and a community-sponsored rowing club, as well as the Center
Yeah.
for Marine Life Research. Those are all community-sponsored programs.
Awesome.
Okay,
Fabulous.
that too.
Let me-
I think you could say we have a golf club as long as we don't name it.
Right.
And-
Yep.
Or we could drop them both out.
Mhm.
Eddie, is your email still cohasset.ma?
No. It is nanettenuttall@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's NANETTE.
Super.
Excellent.
Beautiful job. So impressed.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. All righty. See y'all next month.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Oh. It's a great embarrassment, I tell you, I didn't get a copy of it.
Oh, you didn't?
No, it did not come through. It's probably my computer, I don't know. But I got the other stuff, so.
It came separately.
It came
It was an
separately.
attachment.
It didn't come as an attachment with the
Okay,
regular.
well,
Yeah.
that's what I got from, so I'm gonna just take a copy of one
Okay.
before I go home. Okay. Okay, now, Rich?
Yeah.
We have some annual appointments.
sure. Sure. Okay, none of these are appointments, right? They're all elections?
Yeah, so that's,
No, that's just the president. Is
yeah,
that-
so we, I'm confused by this one a little bit here because we, in our bylaws, and I can share the screen if you want to, but, in our bylaws, we're required to elect a chairman every year, because we have to mirror the town's bylaw. The other positions aren't elected unless they're vacant. So vice chair and, secretary and treasurer, are filled once, and then when that person vacates, then we elect a new person to take that place. So I nominated Tana back in July and she accepted, so we've already had the election. So
Great.
is there something different?
No,
Members.
we just didn't confirm the VP, the secretary and treasurer, which is what I wanted to do today, and just ask them, would you like to continue your jobs?
Sure.
Okay, and Eleanor, you too? And you too?
No. Was that a no?
Uh-oh.
No,
But
it's
I
a
don't
yes.
think it's, I think what he
It's
was
not
saying
allowed.
is it's not
Don't
necessary.
yes.
Then I'd
The
get to
minutes
do
are the tough
something.
one.
I'm just mostly concerned if anybody doesn't want it.
Sure.
Do it, then, okay. Thank you very much, Paul.
That's the way I understood it as well. And thank you those that do. I appreciate your involvement in the organization. I was thinking about it, if we had to replace anybody. Wow.
I
Big shoes.
It's humming along just nicely.
Yeah,
So what about there was something about these members, and it seemed like we had a lot of associate members, or
Oh,
something
the-
was gonna step down.
okay, so, I got the letter of resignation from Sue Reagan. But now, I don't have, we hadn't decided, or they hadn't decided, you were one, no, you're a voting member, right?
Not yet.
Not
I'm
yet.
associate. So Sarah,
And you.
Jim and I think are all associate.
I
So-
thought Jim was a voting member.
Jim Carpenter is,
No.
not Jim.
Not Jim
Murphy.
Murphy.
Oh.
Jim Murphy.
And Sarah and I came on about the same time.
And
so it
was Jim here before you?
No,
No, he came after, I think.
Jim Murphy.
Okay, so that between
then
the two
Sarah
of
said-
these ladies, have you decided, Sarah, you had mentioned that perhaps, because you work full-time, you wanted to stay where you were.
Yes, I confirm that.
Okay. And therefore, we would very much like to have you.
Thank you.
Ms.
Real voting member.
Tarp. You're voting
I put my
member.
2 cents in, but I knew it didn't
But you're
count.
supposed to, of course, of course. Okay, I just wanted to tie those loose ends up. Now, any other, I'd like to open a discussion of any questions you might have about the center or anything like that, suggestions. I've been here off and on for quite a few months now. Unfortunately, what I notice is that the place isn't humming a lot. Now it has, it's COVID, it's been the summer, et cetera, and I know they're all working so hard, everything. Is there anything you guys can think that we could be doing to enhance activity here? I did have one person ask me if we could start another games table day, and I spoke to you about it. And just for your own edification, Friday mornings, if you want to play a game, that spot is open. Somebody suggested hand and foot, and there are a couple of games that seniors enjoy playing. So I went back to my friend and I told her that, if she had a group that wanted to come, let us know. I'm gonna follow up on that and make sure she and her friends get over here. But it's that kind of stuff that if you hear people need or want, we'll try to implement it. Now your bocce group is going very well.
Yep.
Has it grown at all, or?
Actually, it's compressed a bit over the
Oh,
summer, which is good.
yes.
Because
think
you
you-
really only have room for 8 people, and many times we get 14.
14, yeah.
Oh,
And so it's a long time sitting there between shots, and you end up in conversations and you forget what you're doing. It's going so well, we actually played in Situate
Mhm.
a few weeks back. Their court is much different, it's longer and wider. But we played down there and we got used to their court, and then we killed them. Once we had the second game. The idea being that we would alternate. Every Thursday afternoon, we would go to Situate, and every opposite Thursday, they would come here. They're afraid to come here. And the reason being, it's a road trip for them. They said, "How far away is it?" I said, "It's 13 minutes."
What? From Situate?
Yeah. And so far, nothing's happened there. And they keep inviting us back down there, and part of it for me, of course, is playing pool at 11, lunch at noon, and then bocce at 1. So it's a whole engagement down there. But what I'm suggesting is there's enough interest that we think we're gonna start a Thursday afternoon bocce here as well. Right after lunch, or one of those types of things. Obviously, we're gonna be running out of the weather pretty soon. Indoor bocce did not work last year.
No.
It was funny, but it didn't.
Yeah,
It didn't work.
It wasn't bocce. It was entertaining, but it wasn't bocce. So, I had mentioned to Nancy and to Diane that on rainy days, like we think we may have this afternoon, we want to move indoors with the cornhole. But apparently the cornhole has been given to the rec department.
We can get that.
Yeah, and I asked Rich this morning. he
I
was
think
gonna
a
check
few
on
of
that.
us have it too, like I have a set.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe we can use that, because again, with
David, I think
cornhole,
David said he had a
Yeah.
set too, yeah.
and he said he'd bring it down.
Yeah.
With cornhole, of course, it's many fewer players, so it would be good if we had two sets.
Yeah,
yeah.
And again, Thursday afternoon is what's considered, but obviously Tuesdays at 3 is very popular. But like I said, we did play an out-of-town game, we killed them, so much so they were afraid to drive the 13 minutes to come up here. But we're always looking for other towns. There's a couple of bocce courts in Hull. And those guys are too vicious at the moment, but we're trying to calm that down a bit. It's not so much seniors over there, so, but we'll see where we go from that. But no, that's been very effective. I'm glad that we don't advertise it too much, because too many people would destroy it,
Yeah.
as I said. One thing that we've done is Nancy and Diane have provided, there's one piece of shade out there. And I don't know if you've seen it, but we've moved all the benches to the shade. And we have a canopy tent now that we play under, which is much more convenient for everybody in the heat. What we did find, one thing we learned in Situate, they play a little differently. They play from one end of the court, period, as opposed to back and forth like horseshoes. And we've adopted that here. And it's much better, because everybody can sit in the shade and get up, walk 3 feet to where you're shooting, and then go back and sit down in the shade again.
Yeah.
So it's worked out very well, and I appreciate all the extra, and they give us water and everything. So it's something everybody enjoys. We seem to be very friendly. We've had a couple of cookouts and end of season parties and stuff like that. Everybody
nice.
seems to be having
Yeah.
fun. And a couple of the people, well, all the people on bocce are people that I'm not familiar with in the CEA here. So they're all new to us.
Great.
And as a result, some of them have picked up cribbage and other programs that are here. So it seems to, do a lot. And they enjoy being here, and everybody's very happy. So if you're interested, don't come, because we're full.
I know, that's
It's true.
well, you're expanding.
It's
at
true.
least, but Thursdays.
So again, Thursday afternoons is another possibility. I hadn't talked that over with you, I assume that's okay.
It is okay.
Okay, thank you.
Karen,
Sorry, I have to leave in 2
Yeah,
minutes to
sure.
get somebody in there, but I do want to invite you all to please stop in, have a cup of coffee, and we've got some really delicious baked goods today. And we are, what we're doing with the Friends is trying to capture some more some more members. We have aging members who are not as active anymore, who don't drive anymore. So that, and same thing with bakers, we're getting more bakers in, which is great, because we've started with bakers who are holding babies in their arms, who are now off to, first grade. So anyway, we're getting in new bakers to fill our cafeteria up. And again, trying to get more people back. It's not as crowded as it once was, where every table was full with, full tables are missing. And, they won't be, it's the end of their time, so they're not coming back either. So we're looking to not just, you're looking for people here, we're also looking for more people to come and be part of the cafe in the morning.
Do you get speakers in there?
The speaker thing, we did start that once, and we were told they don't want that because they're coming to speak to themselves,
Okay.
with themselves.
That's a good
with
point.
themselves.
Yeah.
Diane, however, has asked once a month if somebody from town, we've had someone from the town hall, today there is someone from the library, once a month to just, introduce themselves and the environment that they're
representing. And you know, just,
It's more of an informal thing, not a
Yes,
formal
right,
go in
right.
and speak. It's kind of, they go from table to table and
And
just kind of
yes.
visit. and
so that
people
way
ask them
they don't
questions.
feel that they are missing out in their conversations with each other, which is why they really want to come.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So
Anything else? Karen?
that's it. And we're glad. we did the
Financially, are
pictures.
you all set?
Who doesn't want money? Yeah. So the birthday cards really, I have to say, we've been really remiss this entire spring to now, not sending out birthday cards, which was a big deal, because that always brought in money. Because it is a gift in the mail. Right now, each birthday card costs $3.50. One of the things I was thinking of is, is a postcard tacky? Because it really is a gift. This handwritten envelope with this little celebrate stamp on the envelope and a card with a picture affixed, and it's more to it than a postcard. So what happens when a $3.50 gift has been mailed in the mail and it gets returned because they don't live there anymore, or it's so frustrating, but most of it is recouped, obviously, by the stamp, because we just reuse the card. Anyway, so we have made a really concerted effort. Liz Murphy is going to help us now address them, because before I used to do it all between the cards and the envelopes. Now Mary Kay has been helping me with the envelopes, but then her life is all consuming. So between Mary Kay and Liz, they're going to pick up on the addressing, and I can certainly stuff them and put a stamp on them. Making the card. The card is very therapeutic to make. It's pretty, you pick out a beautiful photograph of town, which is not hard, and the rest of it is pretty easy. It's the addressing that, it's not just the addressing. What I have to do to get the addresses, I do get the list from the town hall, but inevitably, maybe there's 5% of people who passed away, and then you've got another whole group of people who've moved. I've seen a for sale sign in their house. Where are they going? Are they not going to be here anymore? Or they sold their house in 2021? And it's still, it takes, I've asked them, but it takes a really long time to update that list that they give us. So anyway, that's the news behind the birthday cards. But anybody who's missed a birthday card this year, we are very sorry, and you will get it. You'll get a Christmas card for sure, but the birthdays will be picking back up again.
Good.
Okay.
Celebrating Barbara Dillon's 95th.
I
Today.
Yeah,
know.
today.
Yesterday.
90, I was wondering.
95.
God bless her.
Yeah.
She's one of our treasures for
Yes.
sure. Okay, everybody, please
Thank
stop in.
Thank you.
We've got a lot of food.
Thank you very
Thank
much. I have a question. Do we track at all the age of the people that come in? In other words, are we doing anything to encourage age 60 to 75, say?
Just with the programming, it seems like the 60 to 75-year-olds are more likely to come to the exercise class, they're more likely to come to the adult education classes, although older people as well, but something like that, I think that's something that the board could do as, maybe that's something you could, get a subcommittee together to try to figure out how to help us to get those people, maybe, I don't know the answer, we're doing the best we can to try to get different programming that's going to get people in, but I think, like Tana mentioned, just asking people, what do you want to see here? What will you come for? There's a lot of people who say, oh, I want to see you do, bowling, but then they never come for it.
Right.
So there's lots of ideas, but if they're not really going to come here, it doesn't there's no weight behind their ideas.
Mm.
So I think that's what we need. As far as the lunches too, I mean, we have great lunches. I know that Ed had mentioned, and I'll have to look and see what they're doing. I mean, that's a professional chef. That's a whole different ball of wax. We're doing, 3 days a week, really good lunches, but not every single day is going to be, the high-end meal that you're getting in a restaurant. But I think just having you guys as part of our lunches, and sometimes lunches are very small, and then other times if we have an event or a big luncheon, we get 50, 60 people. So we know that people are interested in eating here, but not on a regular basis. But if people are going to Situate to eat lunch, how come they're not sitting down here? And that's the key that, to unlocking lunches here, and I don't know what it is.
I have to say, Tuesdays I'm here from 9 to 12:15. And then when I left, I'm thinking, well, I would love to eat lunch here, but first of all, lunch starts before 12:15 or 12:30 when we get out of Neil. But then I looked in the other day and there's 3 people there. That's depressing,
Yeah.
So you gotta figure out
We
why.
gotta, what are we gonna do?
There's a couple of things I've noticed. I don't know either, and I've been missing all summer, but what do we have for men's activities besides just cards?
It's a meeting, I think they have it on Thursday morning.
Scotchy, men's group in the morning.
They have a men's group. Is it well attended?
I don't know, never
Yeah.
been.
It's about 12.
Oh, I thought you ran it. No.
No.
Yeah, about 12. Really very.
So,
committed.
so has anybody approached the men's group and said, what can we do to expand?
Well, actually, it's funny you mentioned that because it's Dave Bigley is kind of runs that, and he's great. And he called the other day and he's like, "What can I do to help you get more people at the lunch?" And I said, "Get your men's group to come to lunch right after your men's group on Thursday morning." So I think he's going to start to talk it up.
I thought they were going, but I think COVID disrupted that.
Yeah, everything's changed since COVID.
'Cause
It's
that
really
was- yeah.
starting all over again and getting people into
Yeah.
a new routine
Mhm.
because over the past, with the COVID, everybody got used to doing something else.
Yeah,
they weren't
right.
staying,
It's true.
they were doing
Yeah.
something else. So we
Yeah.
have to get them, just like with Cafe, we had such a great crowd
Yeah.
and then they got used to doing something else Monday morning. So
Mhm.
it's really just getting people to get us back into their routine again of what to do. And we have that for a lot of activities, but not as many as we'd like.
Well, part of the deal with bocce on Thursdays at 1, the intention is to come here for lunch and then play bocce.
Mm, right.
Yeah, which is good.
That's another 10 people right away. if we
Wonderful,
do
yeah.
that, so.
Yeah, so that's what we need, more things, and we do try to do programming around lunch, have a good program at 1:00 and say, come on in for lunch beforehand, or lunch, or a program earlier and then say, stay for lunch afterwards. So we try to do that, and really, it's up to exactly what you said, Taffy, if somebody sees only 3 people, they're not going to wanna do
Right.
it. So we need to make sure that like people bring their friends, and bring, 4 or 5 people, and then 4 or 5 people talk and say, oh my gosh, yeah, we always go Tuesdays, to Wilcott for lunch. And then that might, get the ball rolling. But the more we have 3 or 4 people, and then people see that, they're never going to come back.
And is it the same, you have to sign up?
Yeah, we appreciate more than 24 hours, but at least 24 hours notice, because that's when we give the lunch count to the chef. And they go up and do their grocery shopping, so.
I have to say though, I did go last month. I think it was I don't know. I went a while ago. Came to lunch a while ago and it was very small, but there was someone from Situate there. So there we are.
And as a matter of fact, that woman from Situate, she came here to say, how come there's so many people from Cohasset going to Situate? I wanted to see why they're
Yeah.
leaving. And then she came here, she's like, this is great. And I don't have to get, on a wait list, so she comes up often.
And you save a
Isn't
dollar.
that
And you
fun?
save a dollar.
They save it all, yeah. She was very nice. And it was fun, and I only knew one other person there. So,
What do you think? Do you think part of the Situate thing is because it's new?
I do. I think it's because of it, because it is new.
Is the menu plus or minus? Well,
I don't
give?
know.
Plus,
I have to say,
Oh,
we're not every meal though, we have
Well,
a
they
lot
have-
of
they
good
have-
meals.
They have 2 months worth of meals in here, and everyone's different
Okay,
in 2 months.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, there you go. There's part of your reasoning right there. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we do have meals that, I know that Liza works hard to make sure that the chef doesn't repeat the same meal. So we're not having pasta on Tuesday, pasta Wednesday, pasta Thursday kind of thing. So we try to vary it, perhaps not this, you know, you might have it once a month, not every 2 months, the same, you know, would be repeated the next month, but we try not to repeat more.
But that I can see, because what they're doing is the chef is creating the menu for however long. And everybody can look at the menu ahead of time, whereas here, you're not having that.
Oh, you are.
But
we get it a month
Giving it
at
a
a
month
time.
now.
Yeah.
You're getting a
Look at our
month?
calendar, you see right
Yeah.
there.
Well, the problem, speaking of the calendar, I get it online. And when you go over the lunches for the month, it's split. So Wednesday's cut in half.
Oh.
So you have to go, well, what are they having on Wednesday? Well, they're having sauteed, and then you have to go to the next page
Oh, my
and say,
God.
oh, it's sauteed bacon and scallops or something like that, which I find annoying. But I mean, if
Oh,
you have
yeah.
the hard copy, it's different.
We have
obviously.
our, and we started to
Oh, wow.
put, and
And post
right
it.
out here, as you're coming down, if you notice in front of the lunchroom, you'll see the
Yeah.
menu now.
Yeah,
So
and
that
that's good for a
anybody
month.
can see for the
That's
month, if they're
good.
coming through
Good
these
idea.
stores,
That's
they'll
good.
know, they're right, you know, oh, that's what's happening the 27th, okay, I'll have that. So
Yeah.
we do have it, it's just whether or not people are looking.
Mhm.
But I think it's also hard to sign up. You know, when you're in the when you're on the calendar, you should be able to click right into that program and sign yourself up. I don't think that is
No,
a
you have
direct
to call.
click. You have to call, you have to email, you have to go onto
Yeah,
the
that's true.
software.
It's, yeah.
So the sign up process is really hard because it'll click and think like the age, oh no, the medical marijuana class last week. Awesome. I contacted like 5 or 6 different people. They all came. Nobody knew about it. And I had almost forgot about it, but signed up through Richie. So those kind of things, it's a spontaneous thing that you just kind of click on
Good
it,
point.
sign up.
Yeah.
It's too hard to get to sign up for some of
No,
this
that's
stuff.
supposed to be getting rectified through our new
Well,
website.
we still have to, that's gonna be interesting to see if we can do it right online like that. Usually it's through my active center, which
Yeah.
you have to click on it
And
and then it's
remember
gonna
your
bring you to
password.
another thing, yeah.
But I think you're right, that most of the stuff you forget about.
You
once
forget
read
about it.
Right.
Right, you
And
just
then
look
when
at
the
it,
time
you say, oh,
comes,
it's a good
it's
idea,
over.
and then you
Right.
forget about it.
Unless Richie calls, you do, you forget.
Exactly. I mean, Richie will call you
Yeah.
to remind you. That's what made me remember to call other people.
That's pretty
But even the
labor-intensive.
town website, you cannot click directly into the program. So I don't,
Right, so that's the way it's going to be now too. If you click on it, it's gonna bring you to my active center to sign in and register. But we'll see if I can change that. But as far as I know, we can't, but I will certainly ask.
Well, speaking of that, when do we expect to see something?
We expect to see something very soon,
Okay.
within the next week or
Oh,
so.
speaking of seeing something, the Stroll, that magazine that used to be
yes,
Life on the
yeah,
Rocks,
yeah.
October issue, the front page is the Cohasset Elder Center bocce team.
Oh,
Oh,
great.
awesome. Are you
They
kidding?
They did an expose.
But you don't
There
want
goes your
members.
numbers.
That's true. Well, I didn't know that at the time of
Well,
the
the
interview.
exclusive.
That's all, I hear how much fun you have, but
Yeah.
don't come.
That's
We
right,
don't
yeah.
want to make it
Well, now we have it
exclusive.
Thursdays too. so
Yeah,
we
you
come
gotta
on
have
Thursday, too.
band, that's
Yeah,
all.
you-
You gotta have-
Definitely.
That's it.
people?
And have lunch at
Do
the
you
same
teach
time, so
people?
Yeah.
yeah, there's not a whole lot of instruction
Yes.
involved.
Kind of
And
roll
maybe
it.
that could be encouraged in the article, like whereas we're
Too late,
starting
the
up.
article's
late.
written.
Is it?
The article's written. But
Well, that's
they
great,
came in
Richie.
and interviewed everybody and we went through, we were obviously playing at the time. So that's supposed to be in Stroll next,
Oh, that's
in
fun.
October.
Great.
But what I wanted to mention was, can you get some of those Stroll magazines in here?
We can ask.
Yeah.
You mean to have every month to have them do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah,
because it
3 or
gets
4.
everybody households, but.
Well, I didn't get it for the longest time.
Yeah, I
until-
didn't get it
Until I
either.
got interviewed and then I said, hey, you
Yeah.
don't have me down here. And then I got
Yeah.
it last. got
I
it
finally
last
asked,
Yeah.
but I didn't get it either,
week.
and
Yeah.
I always got on the rocks, which is really
Oh,
interesting.
that's
Oh, but
interesting.
you
Yeah, I
were-
did, I get both and
Well, on the rocks is gone,
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
now
is-
it's-
this is-
But-
I mean, I got it from them and then
Yeah.
the transition went.
but I didn't get the
smoothly.
transition, yeah.
So when we have our meeting in October, if we have a couple of magazines, I'm happy to do autographs or. Anyway, this is what we're told. We'll see what happens in
Yeah.
October.
I-
But it'd be
I-
good if we get some copies in here, because a lot of people, I think, don't see it at home, even though they're supposed to.
The last question I had was, do we ever put out any questionnaires? Do we ever put out any what are you thinking? What would you like to
Surveys.
see kind of things?
Yeah, so we have surveys, and we've actually for them, probably, what month are we into? September, so I think it was May, for the entire month, they were at every program. Leave,
Yeah.
what did you think of this program, and what else would you like to see? Give me some thoughts.
Anything interesting come out of it?
Nothing really, if we found anything in there, we would have already put it into place. There was really nothing like, oh, it's good, or I want a second Pilates class. Well, if I don't have enough first Pilates class, I can't give a second Pilates class.
Well, along
There's
those
a lot of
lines, I
that
get
kind of
a,
stuff. It wasn't a new program.
after someone attends an event, very often I get emails with a survey, what'd you think about the event? Now, that's an extra workload for Rich, but I don't know if that's something we could, since we get a list of everybody who's been here for all these programs, even bocce, that we send out a survey after the program, within a couple of hours. What did you think? And
That's
get
a
some
good idea.
feedback
We
that
could
way.
certainly do
Yeah.
that after, like a special.
That way you've
event.
already got
Yeah.
somebody who's been here,
Yeah.
so,
Anything else? Any other? I just wanted to mention that we're gonna be meeting on October 17th next month
yeah, I
because
saw
of the
that.
holiday, the weekend before. So you'll notice that when it comes out, will be a week in arrears. There hasn't been any inquiry for do anything with the music group here, has it?
No.
I have friends who go to, they live in Natick and they have a senior center there. The ukulele class, the men's singing group, women's, they have a wonderful time. And they're just always, but obviously people weren't interested.
I haven't gotten anybody saying that they want, we could certainly, if you think that there's plenty of people in town, we could put it in the newsletter and say we're looking for singers to start it, but then I don't have somebody who's gonna lead the
I was
singing
gonna say, you
either.
need a leader, you have to have, and somebody gonna be in charge of all that stuff, which is like herding cats,
Right.
old people.
I would think the singing group would be a good thing. I would think people would enjoy that.
What happened to ukuleles? You done?
He did so much
Yeah.
and then he finished up, I guess. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just,
But that was he had a good following, didn't he?
yeah.
Yeah.
that became too difficult for me. I switched to harmonica. And I'm not doing well there either.
I was just curious if, I've heard more and more about Situate and I've thought to myself, gee, I wonder whether it's just because it's new and somebody goes and they're, oh my goodness, this is fascinating. Or whether it's just something we have to weather out. And yet, on the other hand, you don't want to always feel that way, that you're just weathering out. You
But
just,
when you hear about it, I'm just curious if you ever say, but you would come here, like, is it from people who come here and go to Situate, or just people?
a
who
lot
come to
of people that come here and go to Situate.
That do both?
Yeah, that's what.
Well, I mean, I've been there. I don't know, maybe it's appropriate to have a board meeting down there. To ask them if we can use their facility and go and have a regular meeting and enjoy the place, see what's there. Has anybody else been there?
No,
I've been there,
Yeah.
walked around.
But I think that a lot of people do, if you go to a senior center, you kind of shop around. And
Sure.
You shop around to see
Right.
which program or
Yeah.
activity is.
Yeah,
going
no,
on
there's
and
lots of
see
people that do
at the
that.
right time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I'm curious to get to the people who don't come to a senior center at all, or people who may live in Cohasset but say, oh, I don't want to go to Situate, to Cohasset Senior Center, because I'm not too old, I'm not old enough for that, but I'll go to Situate because I don't know anybody.
No one
over
knows
there.
me.
Situate's old enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a problem.
Another reason I think that they have a big following there is that they are immersed among the affordable housing units, the new affordable
True.
housing.
Yeah.
units.
They're right across the street.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right.
And then there's Dreamwald across the street,
Yep.
right across the street.
In Central Park, yeah.
that's very
Yeah.
true.
That-
Yeah.
And
So,
also Seaside, the
Pardon?
Seaside community has
Yeah.
a connection with them.
Oh, they do?
So that I just feel that
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a very good
there's
point.
a lot of people that are automatically plugged in.
That's true.
over there.
That's true, yeah. Very true. It's also a larger town. It's a much larger
Oh,
town.
right,
Mhm.
right, they're twice our size, or even more than that.
Yeah.
So,
The other thing is that, you know,
The,
I'm, oh, sorry, Paul, I was just gonna say, I think, especially,
I'm
a lot
I'm
of
just
people
thinking,
still work.
yeah, with Situate, you got, you know, it is exciting, because it's new. I think that,
There's still fair-ground people still
yeah,
work.
with fall, you know, with fall here, a lot of people, you know, tend to start doing some indoor activities, obviously, and then we've got the holidays coming up where we have, you know, Thanksgiving thing, Christmas thing, you know, some fall events that tend to draw people. But the thing you have to keep in mind is Situate has 19,000 residents.
Yeah, that's what I was
That's
gonna
right.
say. It's a much
And we have 8,000, right? So if 25% of their population are seniors, they're going to have close to 5,000 people that would,
Yep.
you know, potentially go in and out of there, and we have 2,000.
Yeah.
So it's a perception thing, just like we did, you know, just Marshfield. We used to go down there before building this center to see what their center was like, and everyone was always excited about Marshfield, but again, higher population and has a lot of different people coming in and out. So I think I would stay away from comparing as much as you can to Cohasset with
Right.
with other towns, only because of that primary issue of number of residents and programming. You know, we offered some of the similar things that everybody was doing. You know, we had a lot of the exercises in the chair. We tried pickleball. We tried a couple different things that other towns had success with, and it didn't take off here. So at least we're open to trying other things that other towns are doing. But I think that
Pickleball?
We haven't done it,
Right.
But it's in process.
I think you're right,
I hope not.
sort of.
Yeah, I definitely think we have to keep in mind that
Yeah,
Situate is a much bigger
Well,
town,
well,
much more
and we are.
diverse.
And I remember when I
Which
went there, it was
doesn't like it.
obviously after Bocce, and I got my tour,
He's afraid
the
to
place was
get
empty.
hurt.
Okay.
So it's, you know, that's something to consider. They got this big, beautiful place. They had two guys shooting pool,
Yeah.
somebody else drawing something in like a, it wasn't even a class. It was a room that they had with all the art supplies, and somebody was in there working. But it was empty. And this was on a Thursday afternoon, about 2:00 in the afternoon, 3:00 in the afternoon. It was empty. So, you know, it may not be the panacea. I mean, it
Exactly,
is nice, and it's got a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that we don't have, but they're not drawing people either.
Yeah, I don't want to come down too hard on this senior
No,
center
absolutely not.
for this simple reason. First of all, it's beautiful and well-run, thanks to Nancy. And it's just a different clientele,
Yeah,
so,
and I think COVID is still not
yeah.
where most people are like, yeah, I'm done with COVID, but it's still
Mhm.
rearing its ugly head.
Yeah,
I
you
got
mean-
my
In
fifth
August
COVID
was
shot last
actually-
week.
Yeah.
My fifth COVID shot.
You know, I was
Yeah.
surprised that you mentioned that, but I was surprised. I was in a supermarket the other day, and I was amazed at how many people had masks
Masks
still
back.
on,
Right.
Yeah.
you know, and I thought, oops, people get,
Yeah, it's like
Mhm.
every time you think, okay, we put this to rest, we have a little surge, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's not as bad as the initial surge,
no,
but
but it's there.
it's still floating, and then in
Absolutely.
August, I heard tons of people sick, like
Oh,
I had a
yeah.
weird
Coming into
cold,
the-
I
A lot
never
of
tested
older people.
positive, but who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
Right,
So
absolutely.
the quick tests
Yeah.
aren't picking it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
The quick tests aren't necessarily picking it up.
No, they're not. Yeah, I have my daughter and son-in-law got it this week,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, I've heard of a lot.
Yeah, it is. And when I was in the hospital, I was amazed at the amount of people that had it or had it. Yeah, but it's that much milder that you don't.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things too where, you know, you get, like, I got this real cold and I'm like, I'm not gonna go around people because I just don't know what it is.
Exactly. And I think that's true. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that
So
feel that
I
way.
don't know,
Not
it's still
necessarily
kinda
all
circle.
elders either,
Right.
you know,
Right.
there's a lot of people.
Well, does
are
everybody
super
know that
sensitive.
they have COVID quick tests here?
They should.
I
Yeah.
assume
They
they
do,
did,
they
but
do.
I
They
didn't.
have-
No,
they've had
no,
it
I
for
mean,
months.
they should know.
Oh, they
Yeah.
should know.
Yeah, they should know. We put it in the newsletter. We put it out
Yeah,
out
it's on the
there, so.
table.
Yeah. So I think it's somewhat the time, and but
Yeah,
I
I
do too.
and I think we just have to keep, like, the stroll's a great thing. And I do run across people that don't really know what's going on down here, and I'm like, it's a fabulous facility. But I think the rec the yoga stuff and all that's definitely a big draw and makes people think, oh, there's a lot going on down there.
I also agree with Paul. I think we have to sort of pull into perspective who we are
Yes.
and what we have going compared to a much larger town
Yeah.
that offers a lot more. And I also agree with what you said. I'm sure you can walk into any of them and find them quite quiet.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah.
At different times
Yeah,
of day.
at different times of day. I'm sure you can, but
Well, we talked about this about a month or two ago. One thing that we're kind of famous for in Cohasset is the rec program, because that's the abundance of the residents in the town all have children, right, that go through rec. But what they do well is they promote their programs on a townwide mailing, like I think 2 times a year at minimum.
Yeah.
And we talked with Jim Murphy about this early on, about how to get the word out there. And I think if we do something similar, a townwide mailing, maybe twice a year, maybe 3 times a year, since we have a seasonal programming, that would let everyone in the town know what's going on here at the center. And it's, we don't have deadlines for certain things, just sign up where we do. But I think that was one of the things that we wanted to tie into when the website gets going here, so that people could, see the mailing townwide, that we've got all these programs going on and we've got all these meals that are going on, and a month in advance what meals are going to be served, which was a big thing. That was our biggest complaint when the center was built, is they didn't know what was going to be served. Now they do. So I think if we kind of promote those in a townwide mailing and then start to continue doing what we're doing, I think you'll see more activity as the stigma from COVID starts to subside, probably over the next 8 to 12 months is my guess. Because once we get back into the winter, everyone will be focused on COVID again. But then we hit spring and everyone will come back out again. And I think we'll be kind of well on our way there. One thing that we didn't talk about was Bridge. Bridge was a big thing in town, primarily because it was a pay to play, and you get points over at the Congregational Church, and they had a large following from all over. People would drive here for that. And I know we have a bridge class or playing bridge, so I don't know if that's something we want to focus on. Because it's an indoor game. We maybe have it upstairs or downstairs, wherever you want to have it, where you put it at 11 so that they're here for lunch while they're playing bridge, something like that. But if we just pick something small to start out with, I think, and promoting all of the programs we have, I think we'll be in good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually talked, I talked with the staff just a couple, late last week, about having a open house along the same ideas, and just have everybody, for the whole community, to walk in and see what we do here, have some of the instructors here, have all the activities going on, and people just can come in and see what we have to offer.
That's a good idea.
Have some refreshments. So-
one thing that Paul's just saying with the townwide is I've noticed 2 or 3 times that the children of the senior don't know what's going on. And so the townwide would then bring up to Joanne, she'd look at it and go, oh, hey, Mom,
Yeah,
Right.
you love to knit. Why aren't you part of that knitting group? That kind of thing.
I agree.
And that's another idea, actually, somebody just brought up to me, that if we did it, instead of our Vista, which is just going out to the seniors, instead do it 3rd class, I believe, or do it a different type of mailing and do it to everybody. So do it to, 8,000 households instead of, 1,600 households. And that way, people of all ages will get to see what we have to do. So that's an idea that has been brought up. It will cost us a little bit more money, but it's probably worth investigating. If
I think it
a lot of
is.
people are gonna take it and toss it, but
Well, I've never had a situation where I've been down and I've had my children involved, and this happened this summer. And I found that there were a lot of things that both my kids had no idea, and I'd turn around and say, hey, if that's really important to you, you can call and we can get blah, blah, blah. And so I think it is, like, my kids are in their 50s, and they were interested. They wanted to know, what was there. And a couple of times I needed some help and they said, well, what would you do if Sean couldn't come? And I said, well, I'd pick up the phone call and find somebody that could do it, but So I think for the kids, I was very aware all of a sudden that they don't,
They're not tuned into a lot of.
they're not tuned into a lot of things that
No,
would
I
they.
think a townwide mailing would be a good idea.
On a
No.
regular basis, or
Yeah.
every single month?
Yeah.
No, I
No.
don't think every month you need it, but
Maybe.
I mean,
every-
the way the rec club does it, I think is fine, once in the spring, once in the fall.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they tell what their classes are, which
Yeah,
ours
you
are pretty
describe
much
them.
yeah,
on the
yeah, that's
schedule.
probably.
I don't think I've ever been that aware until when you're down
Well,
now.
I think, when we talk about recruiting more people,
Till
I
you
think
have
we
to
have
be.
to be careful to remember we're a senior center.
Yes,
We don't want the 40, 50-year-olds in here. That's not. the
No, but I
intent.
think the point is if they become more aware of it, they probably have their elderly people that.
That's what I mean.
You know,
Okay.
that might be like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm independent, I don't need that. And then they might say, well, hey, look at, these are some of the activities. It's not just like if you're down and out
Exactly.
and you need
No,
help, this
no,
is like
no.
a social thing.
just a social thing, just,
And support, and then, you expand your horizons to a
Yeah.
new group.
Yeah.
So yeah, Paul's idea, maybe doing a town-wide mailing, try it a couple times a year, 3 times a year, and promoting what we got going on.
Yeah, one of the big things we have coming up, and it's there's a big luncheon where we go to the restaurant Viencia's and then go in to see the Boston Pops.
Mhm.
It was kind of a blurb in the Vista.
Yeah.
But I think, if that was promoted, you probably would be sold out in a minute.
well,
Well,
we
we
usually
usually
do
are.
get
I
sold
know.
out.
Again, it's one that probably
Yeah.
doesn't.
Yeah,
need
it's
too much
hysterical. I mean, it's huge because when we go into Venezia's, we're one of about 25 buses and it's amazing what they
It's
do.
amazing.
Wow.
Oh, it's
25
amazing
buses?
what they
Wow.
do. And then we all load back on and it's amazing you don't lose anybody, but you don't. And then we go into Boston and when we go into Boston, when I tell you there's a parade of buses and we all go in, it's awesome. And when we come out, they all have their own way of identifying their bus so that you know exactly where to go. Yeah, it's very well attended, Paul. So
I know we had some bocce
So it's
people once go to
everybody.
the casino.
I
And
went,
the
yeah,
feedback-
I
the
took that
feedback
group.
from that was pretty positive too.
That was an enormous thing too, and that was fun. We had a blast with that. I never knew Boston had anything like that. And you didn't have
They just
to.
got it, right?
Encore,
Huh?
right?
Encore.
Encore, that was absolutely, I'd recommend that to anybody. And you can go into Boston and go to the pier
Yeah.
and pick up their shuttle. They have a shuttle for nothing. And you just go, and it's a gorgeous boat, and it takes you right over. The gardens alone are so gorgeous, but you don't have to go in there to gamble.
Is
Yeah.
that on the agenda this year? To go to casino?
Well, we did it.
There
We
it
did
is.
it.
Oh.
We did it.
Yeah, so what Diane is referring to is we do work with Hull, Situate, Cohasset, and Norwell. And that's to fill the bus, and they're luxury buses.
Yeah.
And we've been to Newport, we've been to Encore, we're going to the Pops, and there was Narragansett.
Narragansett.
So they're very popular. It's
Yeah.
the same, people sometimes who won't come here will go on the bus trips, not coming here. So it's getting us introduced to a lot of different type of people. But it seems to me like the same people, they go on the bus trip and as soon as they see that there's another one, they
They sign right up. They sign right up on the bus before
Yeah.
they're
Yeah,
off
it
the
seems like
bus.
very positive feedback,
Yep.
yeah.
Awesome.
The buses, I have to tell you, it's more fun. And the people are there to have fun and they do, you just, my big worry is always to keep them all, but they're good. They're very used to me because I tell them I'm a counter. Yeah, I get right in there and just say, to them, I'm a counter. You just got to realize that when I say I'm counting, sit, put your bum down and let me count. Because if I don't get the right count, I'm not leaving. And so they're really funny. They'll count with me. They'll go out there. We got them all. But we're very lucky. We have a gal from Situate that's fabulous, a gal from Norwell that's great, and one from Holland and here. And we will cover each other unbelievably. I mean, if we're losing somebody, all you have to do is put the word out, and
Yeah.
3 or 4 people will find them, and get them. But the
No,
trips,
You say 25 buses, is that like the?
no,
whole-
that's for the Boston Pops.
Okay, well,
And that's all
Not
the
us,
towns.
not us.
That's,
Other places. No.
that's tons of towns. They come all the way up from
but
Middleborough
it's a special program just for elderly?
for the Boston Pops.
Wow.
So
And their Pops is great. It's really, it's fabulous. Then
And it's already sold out.
Yes.
I believe it
We
is.
didn't put it in the newsletter again because it was.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't want to add more people to say, oh.
I missed it.
But oh, no, the people are out there. And much to what Paul said, it's so true. We're a small town as far as amounts of people, and we pull in a
We
decent,
pull in a lot of people for the size of town. that we
Exactly.
are.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
we
you know,
do.
if we're going to compare towns and what they get for their senior centers versus the population, I think we're doing really well. We can always do better, but we
Yeah.
certainly do
Yeah.
pull them in. And the good part about this is once we get them the first time and they see what else is here, they still come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the best part because it's not like they come once and say, oh, you know,
I'm not coming
That's
back
very
here.
fun,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, that's so true.
they usually continue to come back. It's just getting the people who don't know about
Through the
us.
door.
That's the ones that we're looking
Right.
for, the ones who go, oh, I didn't know the senior center did that. Well, we're trying our best, but we
Yeah.
can't reach everybody. And sometimes people aren't interested until they need us, so.
Yeah.
And that's what, hopefully you guys are here for support and to spread the word and get out there and just say, try it. And Elaine really appreciated that because without you doing what you did to get those 5 or 6 people
Yeah,
that came
that's
with
it.
you, that was huge. And it was people who I'm sure enjoyed what the
Oh, they loved it.
conversation.
And I've heard from so many other people, I didn't know about that. I didn't know. Why didn't you tell me? And I'm thinking, oh my God,
Get it, I heard it was
I'm
a
not
great
the
program.
babysitter.
Right, so how do you get to these people if they're not looking at the newsletter? That's the key.
Exactly,
It's
and
not
they're
like we
not.
can call every single person and say, hey, remember, we have a program. But it's as far as letting people know, we're here, take a look at it, I'll try to see about if we can change the way you click, but even then, you can click on it because it's like, oh, it looks good,
Yeah.
and then forget about it an hour later, and then
Exactly.
when the time comes, we've had people who sign up for
okay,
things because it looks great,
Yeah.
and then
they
we'll
don't
say,
show.
oh, great, we got like 25 people, and then it's like, okay, 18 showed up because those other ones forgot.
They forgot.
So we do try to give reminder calls if you sign up, but we can't call everybody if you
If you didn't sign up, yeah.
Right.
I wanted to put in one thing before we go. We've done a lot of work at the pool, as you noticed, and we've got a lot of recognition also of older people. And so there's going to be some changes as far as what we're offering. The Social Service League was very generous to us, so we were able to put in an ADA bathroom, which has been a huge help. We're having all new doors and windows put into the entire place, and with thoughts of seniors and ADA abilities and what can be done. And we have a whole new pump system, a whole new system of chlorination, and it's worked out tremendously.
What happened at the beginning?
Yeah,
I was
that
just going to say,
tough.
I was going to bring that up. The very beginning was, number one, it was a misdemeanor. It was advertised not correctly. And we did have a permit, and we showed the permit to the state because we were really pretty annoyed at how it was handled in the very beginning. And
Well, didn't people get sick?
no,
See, that's it. You hear all these stories.
Right.
Story.
Yeah.
was
one
reported.
person got nauseous, which happens to us once a week, by the way.
Meh.
From different things, stomach cramp, or this, that, or the other thing. One person, and that was it.
Yeah, it
One
was fun.
child. That was it, I know, and
We had, it was funny, we were out playing bocce, and a
Yeah.
helicopter was coming over. I said, wow, this is for us, what's going on here? We didn't know there was any problem at the pool.
Yeah,
A
well,
helicopter.
yeah,
yeah.
it was,
Well, then,
not done
you
well.
didn't show up, you got sick right after that.
Yeah, she was, yes.
And-
No, she was
and-
leaving on a trip.
Yeah,
That
well,
was nice.
regardless, you weren't here. I said, is she in jail? What happened?
I was in the hospital. Yeah. They, so it, the going forward, we have had quite a few people this year that have been very, very pleased. We're very pleased because the pool is immaculate. And the good part that came out of that was that the state was called. And so the state came down and we passed 97%, which
Oh,
is
nice.
unbelievable that we did. And the few things that we didn't pass on was that our telephone, we have to have a landline, we're required to have a landline. But our landline sat out on a table, it should be attached to the wall.
Oh, geez.
That was one. The other one was that the front door is held up with a jar, you know, with a thing you put on the bottom. And that's not accessible for somebody that's in a wheelchair. So that was our other thing. And the third thing was our water bubbler was not low enough. I think it was low enough for our
wheelchairs.
So we certainly had no complaints as far as what we ended up with was better than what we got.
Well, see, the publicity is what kills you.
Yeah,
It's
well,
terrible.
You hear all the negative and you never hear the good stuff. You
Well,
never hear
the
everything
negative
was okay.
came from the town, I'm sorry to say, but that was what happened.
Yeah, and
So-
so crazy 143. 143, like
Oh, yeah,
people
that-
get
that-
on
It was-
there and
yeah,
like throw
so
stuff out.
It's all done. And we've put out almost $850,000 to make the place a number one, or AAA, I guess you'd call it, facility, and we have it. So it's getting there. We've got a full snack bar that's coming in with a separate building. We have a totally different type of filtration system in that we went to a sand system, which is very, very different than what we had before. And the pool's so clear, it's crystal, which is absolutely delightful.
Now, how do you balance the kids? Because there's constantly kids in there
Right.
and the elderly. Is there any,
Yeah, the kids are pulled out certain, on hot days, they're pulled out some on a time slot, yeah. So that,
oh,
And
so
there's
you-
adult swim. right?
and there's adult swim, and we also open a lane on any temperature. If a temperature goes over a certain amount, we open one lane only for adults or seniors to swim in. So the kids can't swim in, they have to swim in the other ones, so, yeah, so it works. We're very, at the end of the season, we're very pleased, we're in debt, but besides that, we're pleased because we've come out also with some recognitions. Like, for instance, through everything, our water aerobics program was totally full and it involved quite a few seniors
That's
who
awesome.
then realized that there is an open lane that you can come and swim. And, you know, they've come and they've swum. Yeah, so I just kind of wanted to give you an update. It's done really, really well. We're now looking into finishing up by putting in solar hot water
Wow.
instead of electric. And the solar, they're telling us would up the temperature of the water come the 1st of June to about 8 degrees up, which would be a big help because the kids are home from college, so we can get guards that could open on the 1st of June instead of waiting until school gets out and waiting until we have all our guards. So there's quite a bit going on. And to answer your question, I was in the hospital when that happened.
yeah,
And they wouldn't tell me. They just said, Jesus, you got enough problems. We're not gonna try to. And then to answer your
made
second,
quite a scene.
and then the second thing I do want to tell you is I did go across country on the
Good,
train.
good.
And I recommend it to anybody. It was an
That's awesome.
amazing trip. Boston, we got on in Cohasset.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Yeah, and we got off in San Francisco.
Wow.
So it was,
How long did it take?
we left on Monday, we got there on Thursday afternoon.
That's so cool.
It was the best trip I've ever taken in my life.
Did you ever, so what did you didn't get off and do sightseeing then? You just,
Nope, we were on the train. Yep, it's
And
14
it's such a
passenger
different
car.
perspective, isn't it, from the train, like, because the train
Amazing,
tracks go.
amazing.
Yeah.
The United States of America is really pretty fabulous when you go that way. It really is, what you
Oh,
see
That's awesome.
and what you learn. Like, I'm sure most people don't have any idea that the trains are dependent on the tracks and the tracks are not owned by the train. So the tracks are owned by the different states and they're owned by freight or private
Yeah,
industry that controls the tracks. And the tracks get hot in the summertime, and when the tracks get hot, they bend or they go off. They may separate or whatever. So the trains are really controlled by temperature and by other entities. And if you have a freight train that's coming through that has perishables or anything on it, you need to move over because they come through. It was just fascinating to see. And it was also fascinating to see the country as a whole. Like I had never seen desert lakes, salt. This was Utah. It's salt.
The salt flats.
The salt flats. I woke up and thought it was snowing. I didn't know what it was. And looking out at like 5:30 in the morning, and I'm like, what is that? And it was pink, and then it had this big white, like looked like sea foam all around.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then the guys told me what it was, and I went, oh, can we back up?
Let me look at that again.
Yeah, and then we ran into hot tracks. And so when you run into hot tracks, you have to obey to the speed limit that the state issued. And we went into this Donner Pass up in California. And it's the place where it was very well known for the amount of people that didn't make it and what happened while it was there. But we had to coast. And so the engineer came on, he was a riot, and he said, well, this isn't a bad thing. Here, we can go on and go and explain this and explain that. You know, it was, your dinners were held in the dining room with proper linens and all that stuff, and your breakfast and lunch. And they asked you if you would be willing to switch company every night. And so we did. So
Wait, what?
company,
Like
people,
different
table
people.
mates.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And so we had, Tammy kept track, I did not, but we ran into 10 different countries, people from 10 different
Wow.
countries that we spoke to.
And you said there were 14 people on a car?
There were 14 cars.
Oh, 14 cars.
Yeah,
okay.
but you had either a sleeper,
Mhm.
and there were, I believe, 3 sleeper cars.
Yeah.
And then you had coach, and coach would be like your train. Yeah, the coach.
So you were in a sleeper car.
We had a sleeper car, so we had we had a bedroom. Yeah, so we had
So you had a sitting area.
a sitting area, we had a bathroom, shower,
Wow.
and a little sink area. Yeah,
So this was a trip like you signed up to go cross country.
yeah, Amtrak. Yeah, and we
Wow.
went on the
How
Zephyr.
many went with you?
My daughter.
You and your daughter. Oh, that's
My
awesome.
daughter and I went, and then when we got to San Francisco, I had 10 of them joined us, but
Oh,
they came by
nice.
plane.
People
Yeah, they-
flew out,
they
and then
flew.
you just flew home.
Yeah, we flew home. Yeah, but it was fabulous. But if anybody ever has a chance to take an Amtrak
I
overnight,
never thought of
What a
that.
great adventure.
it's not well
Publicized.
publicized, but yet, I mean, we had people that was so much fun. We had a lady from Fiji that, honest to God, was hysterical. And she buys, they were more than willing to tell you about what they do. They buy specials. So they spend $400 and they get 10 passes. So they can go anywhere they want in the United States and up into Canada.
Wow.
And they take full advantage.
Yeah.
They hop on the train in New York or in Boston, they go down to New Orleans, and that was the most famous one. They all loved going to New Orleans. But it's quite a thrill to cross the Mississippi. And then the Colorado River goes forever. I didn't realize that the Colorado River.
No more, but.
Yeah, and we went through,
Dried up.
we went through 26 tunnels in the Rockies,
Mhm.
and they tell you it's coming through you go, so.
When you
But-
think about the engineering.
Yeah.
Too, of doing that, yeah.
The engineer, of doing all
My husband
that.
was just reading me an article, he found in some book, Stephen Ambrose, the historian, wrote a vignette about the Transcontinental Railroad. And it said the engineering feat at the time
Were incredible.
was world, it sent the world to a whole new place, like way ahead of Europe, anybody else who had a train, like what they did.
I think you're not aware of what our country really consists of.
Yeah.
What's really there in our country. I have a whole different outlook on the United States than I did before I left, and I'm an old lady. And,
Yeah.
How was the pricing compared to airfare?
well, it depended, we had a guy that came on, depending where you sat, it depended whether you took a regular room, whether you took a roomette. A roomette was perfect for 1 or 2 people. Tammy and I thought we'd be a little crowded, but a lot of people that do it a lot got very used to it, and they did it. And then coach, so you had 3 different tiers, but if you Tammy did it one day, if you take your meals, you take your overnight cost of overnight and your travel time, came out pretty even. We had one guy that lives in Seattle and he works in Rhode Island and New York. And he gave up a plane because he said he was so sick of it getting canceled, or he was late, or the car couldn't get packed or all that. And he figured out he loses at the most 3 hours
Wow.
by taking the train.
That's
Yeah, really something, so it was good. But I do want to tell you about the pool. The pool was very successful at the end of the summer. We did very, very well. And next year is going to be much nicer because the things that weren't finished will be finished.
Well,
We
I
have-
have some young neighbors on my street now, and that was beginning of summer, one of them whose kids are like second grade, going into kindergarten, second grade. They discovered the pool, and I was like, oh, the pool's the best, you know, like when my kids were small, it was like the best thing, let's go to the pool, you know, it's great for the parents too, because it's so easy, because you sit and watch them and they do it. And
Yeah.
she was just like, oh my God, I just am so happy with it, so.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I think.
That's what I like to
The
hear.
whole generation of converts.
But I've also liked hearing from seniors, them saying to me, you've done a good job, yeah.
But, yeah,
Where do we stand on pickleball? I know there was some,
Right, what's the status?
which of course I'm against, but
What he said.
where do we stand?
He's
Oh, 'cause
against
of
it.
the injury.
I
Yeah.
think the idea is to find a place, is
I
what,
thought you were the place. I thought it was the end of the parking lot.
it
Got too
it depends.
Did it get too complicated?
That was a suggestion.
It started to get complicated, but I really don't know where it is. I'll be honest with you, I've been out, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
They finally let me out last week, 2 weeks ago. They let me out.
Wow.
I had pneumonia.
Well, I did, yeah, I'm sorry.
I had pneumonia, and the pneumonia was in 3 different pockets. So what they told me I was okay, and it went away.
And
I
then
I took the chip, and when I came back, 2 days before I came back, I noticed the coughing had started again, and I thought, oh. And I came back and it had just not totally gone. So it just, I think my resistance was down, and, you know, so.
Yeah.
Probably a lot my fault for going, even though they told me it was okay.
Yeah.
So,
But, you know,
So it got kind of snagged because I
You're an
didn't.
action person, Diane, right? I'm not surprised that you're like, yeah, I can do this.
Well, maybe the pickleball will die a natural death. I don't
But
know.
we're still interested in
No, I
pickleball,
think
we
It's
just
you
really,
gotta find the right thing.
we need-
We gotta find the
We need
right
to find the
place,
right
and
place.
I think it's also, I'm learning, I don't know if I'm right or not, but I've just learned in the last week that I need to hook up, or somebody needs to hook up with Ted too, and see what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because there's no need of both.
Right.
Yes, I thought
And it
they
may be
had
something
one.
that's better for the town to do.
I'll tell you liability wise it is,
The rec department, maybe that should be one of their babies.
yeah, I don't know.
Well, I thought, wasn't there any talk about the tennis courts behind the high school?
They did that,
They made pickleball out of that?
yeah, they remarked them.
So it's done, right? We,
Yeah, I don't
did
know
we
how
need to
much
worry
it
about it?
changed.
I do not
I don't
know.
know.
But I mean, is the issue
That's why I'd like
over?
to catch up with Ted.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the issue's over. Maybe they
Might be over.
content.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I
No,
don't
they're
know.
not content.
they're not?
No, the lines for tennis courts are so different than the lines for pickleball. And it gets very confusing. The tennis people don't like the
Yeah.
pickleball people.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Pickleball
Yeah.
people like,
Really?
How does Situate has such an active group, don't they, where do they do theirs?
I don't know if it's outside.
I don't know.
I know they do. Is it?
Oh, no, it's indoor. Yeah, I remember seeing that too. They have some organization with the YMCA or the Boys Club or something right next door where they do a lot of indoor stuff, volleyball and pickleballs and other things.
The old
Yeah.
school?
The old
Oh,
school.
it's
Maybe.
the old school.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it must be in the old
maybe-
school. They
Okay.
probably use the gyms.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it was.
because that was part of
That
their
would make
program.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad if it doesn't happen here.
Have you ever played?
No, I've watched people who have with their casts and their braces. I mean, I'm down in Florida all winter and those old timers really get into it. But then they're around with casts and everything else for the rest of the winter.
Oh, that's funny.
No, a lot of broken wrists. That's what the funny part is, it's wrist. And the idea is you're not moving that much, but you're moving enough to fall down.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Okay, anything else? Do you have anything, any
No, that's it
requests,
for me.
anything?
No,
Good meeting.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
For all the work you
Oh,
guys have done.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
amazing.
Wonderful, glad everybody liked it, that's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
something.
just want a copy of the
I will make it, I'll print you up for you.
Oh, I should have asked. What about community dinners? Is anything happening with that?
The next one we're working on, I don't know when it will happen, it's hopefully this fall, but will be, we talked with somebody from the fire department and maybe the fire department will do it. And that's the other thing, we're looking for somebody who can kind of facilitate that, lead that, maybe a volunteer who can kind of go around and say, okay, what another group is going to do it. We can't sustain it the way it was before with the high school. It has to be more volunteers, separate, new volunteers. So, yeah, so right now it's just the fire department, I think, is going to be able to cook and serve, and we'll go from there.
Okay, I think we're ready to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Jump too quick.
Sorry.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.